I must say, I was a little bit nervous today. I was a little bit nervous because I thought, oh gosh, haven't heard from John. Normally, he's so faithful. I do hope nothing's wrong with him. He is getting on a bit. You see, normally by now, and you do all those things. You're second guessing in your thoughts. Well, normally he's so faithful. He's so reliable. I do hope that he's going to be on the program, both for his personal health, but also because I'd have a big gap in my program. But as the song says, he is faithful. John Cowan, kia ora, good morning. So nice to see you.
Good morning.
My imagination about what was wrong with you has dissipated. Thank you so much for being on the program today.
I've got lots of things wrong with me.
Yeah, I wasn't going to get into that.
Specialists are still looking for words for some of them, but
you might get something named after you, John. But hey, me of little faith, good to see you on the program. And today, this is part of a public service announcement for all of those guys who haven't realised that tomorrow is May, and May means Mother's Day, and you're probably going to be in trouble. This is a public service announcement, right?
That's right. I mean, so often I go, what, already? Anniversaries, birthdays, Mother's Day, they come around. And if I end up buying something from the same place I buy my petrol, then I think people realize that, no, I've failed again. So look, here's plenty of warning. You've got Mother's Day coming up and some thoughts on what Mother's Days may actually want.
Yeah.
And actually, my wife has been doing this. She's been surveying because she's going to be preaching on Mother's Day.
Oh.
She's actually been polling various friends about what do mums really want on Mother's Day. And over again, it was time, not dime, to use an old phrase.
Nice.
They want to hear from their kids. They want phone calls, not just a messenger message or, a couple of emoticons on Facebook. They actually want a voice phone call from their kids living further away. They would like to be able to have a meal cooked for them. They would like to have be made a fuss of. They'd like to have time alone, just putting up their feet, knowing that someone else is rattling around in the kitchen. They'll probably end up having to repair the kitchen afterwards. But it's that type of thing. They want to have a gratitude expressed, and they want to be given time and attention, and they deserve it because they spend so much time being nurturers. They deserve some nurture themselves. I hope they get it. But more importantly, this is my wish for mums. I hope that they learn how to nurture themselves.
Yeah.
I wouldn't at all, fault the majority of mums that I've known for the amount of nurture they give. But some of them, I see a glaring deficit in the nurture they give themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
And some of them I would even call martyr mums.
Mm-hmm.
They have sacrificed their health and their happiness and their dreams for their own future, for their family.
Yeah.
And it's not good for them, as is obvious, because they are limiting their opportunities for growth and happiness. But it's not good for kids either, growing up with mums that do that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it also overlaps with a parenting style where the kids get no boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
That's not good for them. It gives them sometimes a sense of entitlement. Mum is just the unpaid help around the place who'll do everything for me, and to go off into life with that sense, it's not good for them. And it's also role modeling a style of womanhood which is not good for either their daughters or their sons.
Yeah.
Hopefully, the daughters may actually see through it and think, I'm not going to be like that, but they're probably just as likely to follow suit. But for boys also to grow up with that sense of that's how you treat women. You just allow them to be self-abasing, not worthy of respect. I think for the sake of your sons, mums, you've got to draw yourself up in your dignity, stand on a sort of an internal pedestal, and see your own dignity.
I mean, there is
perhaps use Yeah.
No, I was just going to say there is a real danger there, and certainly not turning this into a thing where we're picking on mums, but just wanting to say
No.
that that's Martha attitude, that serving other people, that putting yourself last. I mean, we can kind of put that in. Oh, isn't this wonderful and sacrificial, and isn't this a good aspirational goal of how we could be like? But actually, if our children are brought up in a household where they are doted on, where they're waited on hand and foot, then their chances of actually being able to be happy and satisfied with a life partner that doesn't measure up to those impossible standards is almost impossible.
Well, so for the sake of your future daughters-in-laws and sons-in-laws,
exactly.
you should drop your standards a bit.
I just thought I'd give Mum something else to feel guilty about as we head towards Mother's Day, John. All part of the service.
Actually, that's a thing too, because when you talk about guilt, often that is actually stemming from poor mental health.
Yeah.
And there's an awful lot of mums and dads that don't attend to their mental health needs. They might just have some low-grade depression or anxiety, or perhaps some post-natal depression that never blew away.
Yeah.
And they just settle for it. They discover that it's like driving in the rain. If you're driving in the rain, you perhaps just slow down a bit, put the windscreen wipers on, and you don't enjoy the drive, but you can keep on going. And for so many people, they just think that's the way it is with my blues, with my low self-esteem, with my crushing sense of inadequacy. I'll just push on.
Yeah.
When in actual fact, the thing you really need to hear is that help helps.
Yes.
That these things can be fixed, ameliorated, helped out in a vast majority of cases, usually by just sharing it with someone, getting some insights, maybe some professional assistance, maybe some medication. But there's all sorts of approaches, and the good news is these things do actually work. One of the lies of depression is it'll work for everyone else, but it won't work for me.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. But could I just say, could I really urge mums to be not only self-assertive, claiming back some time for themselves, some time and money from the budget for actual self-maintenance? If you're the most important cog in the family machine, you need a bit of maintenance.
Might need oiling occasionally, that cog.
What's that, sorry?
That cog might need oiling occasionally. Don't read too much into that metaphor.
Oiling with coffee with mates, time at the gym, walk along the beach, and you're thinking, I haven't got time for that. If you make it a priority, you'll get that time by perhaps working deals with other families where you say, hey, I'll look after all your kids this weekend if you can give me an afternoon off this coming weekend. Where you work deals with your partner, with other family members, so that you can actually get that time to recharge because you're worth it. And also to become more self-affirming, as well as self-assertive, self-affirming, to believe the incredible worth of what you are doing.
Yeah.
Life has not passed you by because you've been sidetracked into motherhood. You're actually in the midst of life and doing something very, very incredibly worthwhile. And to not to be just sort of resigned to the fact that what you're doing is something that you're trapped in because of your powerlessness, but it's a choice because of your high-minded ideals, and that your intellectual and artistic and career capabilities, they're not fading away. They might have to be shelved by other priorities just for a moment, but they can be revitalized, possibly still while you're in the midst of what you're doing. I know when you've got really little babies and kids, there's no room for just about anything else, but believe that you and all your fullness are still there. You haven't died and collapsed into motherhood. You're actually you're even more of a person. You're fuller in your life and got even more to give and bring. And so can I just urge you to keep those dreams going, because they're still realizable. And when you realize your dreams and your hopes and your ambitions for yourself, not just for your kids, you're actually creating a nurturing environment for your children where they are so much more likely to achieve their own dreams. And I'm going to get out of the pulpit now because I feel like I'm winding up into a.
Well, there's lots of fodder for your wife's sermon in that one, but
Yeah,
but also
I better forward these notes.
exactly. But actually, here's the point. Now, we started talking about what we can do for our mums on Mother's Day. But perhaps in order for mums to believe in themselves, in order for them to feel affirmed and to be able to hold on to their dreams and push into them, they need us to be their cheerleaders. They need us to be saying, no, you can do that, and speaking positive things into their life and creating the space for them to be able to thrive in this season of their life, whatever that looks like. Perhaps that's something not just for Mother's Day, John, but that's perhaps the role that us as children of mums need to take on board moving forward.
Good idea.
Yeah.
I can't argue with that.
Well,
I would argue because I'm an argumentative poor sort, but I'll agree with that entirely. That's great.
I'll let you get back to your tea and biscuits, John. Thanks for being on the program once again.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Good to have my tea and biscuits with you, Andrew. Cheers.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.